All right, get ready. We're diving deep into game design mechanics today.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We've got these two sources, right? How to think like a game designer and how to become a game designer. Both are packed with insights from like actual game devs.
Uh,
I'm pretty pumped to unpack all this knowledge.
well, it's not just about, making games, right? Knowing how this stuff works can actually change how you, experience your favorite games.
Wait, seriously? How so?
So think about this. You're playing a game,
Uh-huh.
and you're totally, immersed.
Yeah.
But by understanding the mechanics at play, the rules, the systems, you start to see the intention behind it all. You'll notice how they're kind of manipulating your emotions,
Whoa,
guiding your actions, crafting a specific experience.
that's pretty wild. It's like seeing how the magic trick works, right? But still enjoying the show.
Totally. And one of the best tools for this is the MDA framework.
MDA.
Yeah, it stands for Mechanics, Dynamics, and Aesthetics.
Okay, break it down for me.
So mechanics, those are the nuts and bolts, the rules, the systems, what you do in the game, like ammo capacity in a shooter. That's
Yeah.
a mechanic.
Gotcha. So dynamics then, that's you.
That's you, how you react to those mechanics. So ammo example again, tons of ammo. You feel powerful, aggressive, probably running in, guns blazing.
Uh-huh, yeah. Makes sense.
But low ammo, you're going to be way more cautious. Each shot matters, see? One mechanic, totally different approach.
Wow, yeah. I never thought of it that way. But what about the A, aesthetics? I always think of like visuals when I hear that.
Nah, here it's about the feeling. That feeling of power when you're loaded up, or the tension when you're low on supplies. That's the aesthetic.
So we're talking mechanics, but it's really all about emotions, how the game makes you feel.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about it. Designers use this to create specific experiences. It's a chain reaction. Change the mechanic, changes how you act and feel. Even small tweaks make a huge difference.
This is kind of blowing my mind, honestly. I'm already seeing games differently, but I'm guessing it's not always perfect, right?
Oh, for sure. Game design is messy. Sometimes even the best plans, well, they backfire. Like Alien, Isolation. They talk about this in the source. Real cautionary tale. They had normal checkpoints at first. Made the game less scary.
What? How's that even possible?
Well, think about it. Death is just a slap on the wrist. You don't fear anything. Players were too comfy. No tension.
Oh, yeah, I get it. So what'd they do?
Total revamp of the save system. Limited saves, takes time to save. You're vulnerable while doing it.
Whoa, that's intense. Suddenly saving the game is like a whole strategy.
Exactly. Ups the fear factor big time. And through that MDA lens, the original mechanic, it encouraged reckless play. Didn't fit the feel they wanted, the new one. Forced you to be careful. Amplified that isolation. Horror done right.
So it's not just having mechanics, it's about the right mechanics
Yeah.
for the vision you have, right?
Precisely. Good designers, they aren't just throwing stuff out there randomly.
Right.
They have a vision.
Ugh.
And the mechanics are the tools to achieve that vision.
I like that. It's like the vision is where you're going, the mechanics or the car getting you there.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, so give me some examples of how this works in real games.
All right, well, the source mentions Subnautica, right? Their vision,
Yeah.
thrill of the unknown. Every mechanic backs that up.
Mm-hmm.
The limited oxygen, the giant ocean, the creepy creatures.
Right, yeah.
All about that awe, that suspense. It's more than just survival. It's like being on the edge of discovery and maybe danger.
So the mechanics are almost like setting the stage for a story, even if there's not a literal plot.
Exactly. Then you've got Resident Evil Village. Vision was struggle to survive. When playtesters found the combat too hard, the devs didn't just make it easy.
Interesting.
They stuck to the vision, rebalanced things to make it challenging but rewarding, caused that struggle. That was key to the feeling they wanted.
So even frustration, if it's done right, it can add to the experience.
Absolutely. It's about how it all fits together.
I'm with you. What about Doom 2016? That's got to be a good example, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Push forward combat. That was their thing. Fast movement, you're always attacking. Heavy metal pumping. All designed to keep you on the offensive.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like the game is pushing you to be aggressive. You hesitate, you lose.
Exactly. So I'm curious, have you ever played a game where the mechanics felt, I don't know, out of place? Like they didn't match the tone or the world?
Oh, all the time. And usually it's a sign that the developers didn't really have a strong vision, or they just didn't do a good job of executing it. I mean, before this deep dive, I thought of mechanics as like these separate things, jump mechanic, health mechanic, whatever. But now I'm seeing them as like pieces of a puzzle.
That's a great way to think about it.
It's all working together to make a specific experience.
Right. And it's not just the individual pieces, it's how they interact. That's where it gets really interesting and complex.
Which makes it a perfect spot to wrap up part one. We've covered a lot, but we've only just scratched the surface. When we come back, we'll dig even deeper into how, like, player behavior can sometimes mess up even the most well-planned mechanics. Stay tuned. Back again for more deep diving. Before we started this whole thing, I kind of thought game design was like simple, make some mechanics, players react, bam, game. But it's way more complicated, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like we talked about, right? Devs need a clear vision, got to pick the right mechanics to get there. But even then, sometimes it just doesn't go as planned.
Because players are kind of unpredictable. They do their own thing.
Exactly. Players, they're always finding new ways to use mechanics, stuff that devs never even thought of. Sometimes it's amazing. Like pure creativity.
Like those crazy aerial car stunts in Rocket League. I read somewhere that the devs didn't even plan for that. But players figured it out, and it totally changed the game.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
And the devs were smart. They embraced it, added features to support that wild stuff. But here's the thing. Sometimes player behavior, it can actually work against what the designers wanted.
Oh, interesting. So how does that happen?
Well, let's look at the Callisto Protocol. It's a survival horror game, right?
Yeah.
Limited ammo, makes you feel vulnerable, scared. But they've also got this super powerful stealth kill. Like one button and you're a ninja.
So you've got these two things kind of fighting each other. One's saying be scared, the other's like, hey, you're a badass.
Exactly. Mixed messages. And it makes you wonder, why do some mechanics lead to that kind of emergent gameplay while others are used exactly as intended? I think a lot of it's about, well, player psychology.
Oh, okay. So what's the psychology angle?
Humans, we love to master things, feeling competent, good at something.
Yeah.
So when a game gives us a mechanic that lets us dominate, we're going to use it, even if it breaks the intended mood.
So like in Callisto, even though they want us scared, we can't resist that one-hit kill. Makes us feel awesome, even if it makes the game less scary. Like we're wired to sort of break the rules.
Not always breaking them, more like finding the easiest way to feel that mastery.
Mm.
And good game designers, they know this. They try to predict how players will react, nudge them in the right direction, but surprises still happen.
It's like a tug of war between the devs and the players. Speaking of different reactions, you mentioned something that really stuck with me, that subjectivity of aesthetics. Wow. How what's fun for one person might be annoying to another. That's going to be hard for designers to handle, huh?
Oh, yeah. Tons of factors at play. Skill level, personal taste, even your mood that day can change how you feel about a mechanic. Take scoring systems, for example.
Oh, yeah, good ones.
Some players, they love the competition, got to get the high score. Others, stresses them out.
That's me. I hate being judged by a number. Scores just make me anxious. But my friend, he lives for that stuff. Same mechanic, totally different reactions.
See, that's why knowing your audience is so important. What kind of experience are you building? A mechanic that's perfect for one player could be a total turnoff for another. It's all about finding that balance.
Finding the sweet spot where the mechanics, the feeling you're going for, and the players all line up.
Exactly. And when you hit that sweet spot, magic happens. Those games that just click. Every mechanic feels perfect. The experience is exactly what they intended.
Those are the ones you remember, right? Long after you've stopped playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever run into a mechanic that just completely killed a game for you, even if you liked other parts of it?
Oh, totally. Recently, there was this indie game, right? Loved the art style. The story was interesting. But there's this one puzzle, timed, had to solve it super fast.
Oh, no.
I'm awful under pressure. Every time I failed, it felt like the game was mocking me. I just quit, never went back.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. One mechanic, even if it's good on its own, can ruin the whole thing. It shows just how hard it is for designers to make everyone happy.
It's a balancing act for sure. I gotta say, before this deep dive, I never really thought about the psychology behind the mechanics, but now I'm seeing it everywhere. Like, I learned this secret code to understanding games.
That's the best part. It opens up new ways to see things. Speaking of new ways, we focused a lot on the player side. But what about those folks who want to make games? Our How to Become a Game Designer source, it's got some awesome advice.
Yeah, people ask us that all the time. How do you even get started in game design?
Well, the #1 tip, make stuff. Best way to learn is by doing. Doesn't have to be huge, right? Start small. A mobile game, a text adventure, even a board game works. Just get your hands dirty, start thinking like a designer.
I love that. It reminds me of something I heard a musician say once. You can't wait for inspiration, got to go after it with a club, got to just create. Even if it's messy, that's how
Yeah.
you learn.
For sure. And experiment. Try different mechanics, different genres, different platforms. Figure out what you like, what works, what doesn't. And as you're doing all that, document it. Explain your choices, show your process. That's gold for your portfolio later on.
So portfolio's key if you're serious about this, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's how you show people what you can do. And while education helps, it's not the only way. Tons of successful devs, they're self-taught, learned by doing.
That's good to hear. Passion and hard work go a long way.
Couldn't agree more. Now, before we go too far, let's bring it back to our deep dive, connected to you, the listener. Even if you don't want to make games, this stuff can make you a better player.
Oh, true. We've talked big picture, but what can the average gamer actually do with this knowledge?
Well, now you know about MDA, right?
Yeah.
Pay attention to the mechanics you see. Try to figure out what feeling they're going for. Is it power? Vulnerability? Strategy? Are they doing a good job of making you feel that way?
It's like a whole new level of appreciating the game, right? Instead of just playing, you're thinking about the design.
Exactly. And it helps you understand what you like, too. Think about a time a game frustrated you. Was it a bad mechanic? Or was it doing its job just in a way you didn't enjoy?
Ooh, that's a good point. I bet some of the mechanics I hate the most are actually the ones working as intended. They're just not for me.
And that's valuable. Now you can find games that better suit you. See the patterns, the design philosophies you click with.
It's like a smarter way to pick games, not just genre or graphics, but whether the design fits what you're looking for.
Exactly. And that brings us to a final thought to leave you with. We've talked about how designers use mechanics for feelings. But what about the other way around?
Okay, I'm listening. The other way around.
Think about a feeling, an experience you'd love to have in a game. Wonder, accomplishment, maybe even deep sadness. Now, what mechanics would you need to create that feeling?
Whoa, that's a tough one. But kind of exciting, too. So many possibilities.
Right. It reminds us that games are more than just fun. They can explore deep stuff, human emotions, experiences.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, come back for the final part of our deep dive. We'll leave you with some parting thoughts and some resources to keep you exploring this awesome world. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Final part of our deep dive. It's been, I don't know, kind of eye-opening, this whole conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's true, though. The more you know about how these games are made, the more you can, really appreciate them. The artistry behind it all.
Right. But here's the thing I keep thinking about. We've talked about how devs make these experiences, how players react. Where does it go from here? The future of game design, what's that going to look like?
Ooh, that's a big question. I mean, no crystal ball here, but
So,
things are going to keep changing. That's for sure. VR, AR, that stuff's already pushing boundaries.
yeah, VR especially.
Mm-hmm.
The potential there to make you really feel like you're in the game, mechanics that respond to how you move, your actual body, it's wild.
Right. And then AR, blending games with real life. So many possibilities. But even with all that crazy new tech, the stuff we talked about, it still applies, right? Player psychology, creating meaning. Those core ideas don't just disappear.
Exactly. Fundamentals are fundamentals,
Mm.
like architecture. Whether you're building a skyscraper or a tiny house, the basics of structure, design, that stuff matters.
Great analogy. And speaking of building, it's not just the devs who are building, right? The players are too, in a way.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Every time we play, we're making choices, discovering things, maybe even finding ways to play the devs never imagined. It's a collaboration, in a sense.
That's a great way to put it. Like, we're co-creating the experience,
Yeah.
which is why it's so important for devs to listen to players,
Yeah,
adapt based on what actually happens when people get their hands on the game.
right. That back and forth, that's what pushes games forward, makes them better. I gotta say, wrapping up this deep dive, I'm actually kind of excited for the future of games.
Me too. Who knows what amazing stuff is coming next? But the journey's going to be awesome, that's for sure. And hey, for anyone listening who wants to learn more, those two sources we used, seriously, check them out. How to think like a game designer and how to become a game designer.
Couldn't agree more. Super insightful. Tons of great advice from pros who've been there, done that. And hey, if you have thoughts, questions, anything from this deep dive, hit us up on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Love that. And remember, every game you play, it's full of design choices, just waiting to be discovered. So be curious, think critically, and most importantly, have fun.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, happy gaming.